Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Oldish TV. My name is Karen, and it is, as always, my pleasure to be your host today. Today is an interesting day for me because, as some of you who have been watching the show for a while know, I've been working on another project. And this is the first day that this program, will be cross-posted with the other page. So the other page is called Reno Studios. Reno Studios is responsible for the production of a program called Real Life Renos, which is also a podcast. And we are ramping up to get those into production. But for the meanwhile, it has a Facebook page, and I would be ever so happy if you would go and follow that as well, like that page, Reno Studios. As our viewers who have been around for a while know, I've been working on a certification for home modification, and I'm finished that. I'm a graduate. I now have letters after my name that I didn't have before. It's an executive certificate in home modification, and I got that from the Leonard Davis School of Gerontology at the University of Southern California. So that is my second and biggest certificate in home modification, and I'm ever so happy to be able to share my knowledge with all of you. Sometimes the topics we talk about here on the Oldish are going to also be relevant for Reno Studios, and sometimes it will be the opposite. But if the case arises where the information here needs to be presented there, then we will be cross-posting. So I attended a webinar the other day that the Leonard Davis School of Gerontology put on, and it was on falls. Falls are my jam. That's where I have worked for over 2 decades, and anything that has to do with falls and fall prevention and injury prevention, I'm right on it. So I was on this. I want to share some data with you that came out of that seminar because today's show is going to be all about falls. Now that it is fall outside and we are tending to spend more time inside of our homes, it's a good time to have a look around and make sure that we're safe. So we're going to talk about preventing falls by using some home modification techniques. You with me? Okay, so some data for you. 50% of falls happen in the home. Does that surprise you? Some people it surprises, but it's true. 50% of falls happen in a home. One older adult falls every second. So while I'm saying this, as I'm snapping my fingers, that's a second going by. That many people are falling. It's a huge problem. 1 in 4 adults reports falling at least once a year. Now, the operative word in that is reports. Not everybody reports the fact that they've fallen. Why not? Because they're terrified. They're actually terrified because they are fearful of the consequences. People tend to be afraid of fracturing a hip, certainly, but more afraid that if something happens to them, somebody's going to come along and say, you can't live in your house anymore. You need to go to long-term care. Consequently, a lot of falls go unreported. Now, the number of health problems that you have will determine, to some extent, your risk of falling. So many things are manageable. I'm going to show you a slide. Let me just go to that. There you go. We can make myself smaller. So the number of risk factors that you have predicts fall risk. This slide comes from that webinar at USC. So if you have no health problems, 1 in 10 people will still fall. If you have diabetes, 2 in 10 people will fall. If you have heart disease and diabetes, that's 2 problems. 3 in 10 people will fall. If you have heart disease, diabetes, and COPD, that's 3 conditions. 6 in 10 will fall. If you have 4 or more, so add high blood pressure to that. Heart disease, diabetes, COPD, high blood pressure. 8 in 10 people will fall. Those are pretty frightening statistics. Not going to lie to you. Very, very frightening statistics. Death rates from falls have increased 30% since 2007. Don't make the mistake of assuming that the number or the percentage has increased because the number of older adults has increased. No, that's 30% for every 100,000 people. So the fact that there is a higher demographic of older people doesn't influence that number. Falls are the number one cause of institutionalization, to no one's surprise. That's why people don't report their falls, just what I said. But if you're one of those people who is afraid of being made to leave their home, there are things you can do, and now's your chance. You know how I feel about being proactive, so get proactive. The condition of your home is a huge determining factor in your fall risk. Now, here's where the home modification piece comes in, and it's very personalized. It is an extremely personalized thing. For instance, if you're strong and healthy and you can still do the stairs in your home, stairs are not a barrier for you. But if you're getting a bit weaker, think frailty. That was a story we did on a show a while back. You can go back in the archives and look that up. But if you're starting to be a bit more frail and stairs are becoming something of a barrier for you, then they're a barrier for you and they may very well be the cause of a fall. And you can think about how to modify that. Now, regardless of whether you are strong and healthy or whether you are starting to find stairs being a challenge, look down the road. Don't work against your own best interest. In all of this, think about what your best interest is and don't work against it. So if stairs are becoming a barrier, or if they are potentially a barrier, look around your house. If you have a two-piece bathroom on the main floor, can a shower be added? Can you take a piece from a room and make that bathroom a little bigger? Is there a room on the main floor like an office space or a dining room that could be converted to a bedroom for you? The objective here clearly is, can you live on one floor if you have a two-story house? If you can't, don't be so stubborn as to work against your own best interest. You may need to think about moving before something happens, because if you fall and break a hip, that could be it. That could be all she wrote, and you could be put in long-term care. You might be one of the lucky ones who's not, but you might be one of the unlucky ones who has to go and live in long-term care because of one fall. I had a grandmother that happened to, and it wasn't her hip. She broke a whole bunch of bones, her ankle and up her leg, and she had been napping on the couch, and somebody came to the door, and she was wakened quickly from her nap, and she rushed to get to the door, but her leg had fallen asleep, just the position she was napping in, and she fell, broke a whole bunch of things, and the doctor said, that's it. The home you have lived in for over 40 years is not a home you can go back to because you can't manage it. That was the end of it. She went from the hospital to long-term care. It happens more often than you think. People generally will say they do not want to live in long-term care. Over 90% of people don't want to live in long-term care. So now's your chance to be proactive. If you have a home that can be modified to some extent and you need to find a contractor who can do that for you or that you want to begin a discussion with, make sure they're able to deal with accessibility. And just because a contractor says, I can do ADA, so in the States, that's the Americans with Disabilities Act. A lot of Canadian contractors know what that is too. A lot of European contractors know what that is. Just because they think they can do ADA accessibility redesign or renovation in your home doesn't mean that they actually can do what you need. So you need to be very clear on what you need. You can buy some time from an occupational therapist, and that occupational therapist can make some recommendations for you. If you don't know anybody in your area, DM me, because as I've taken these courses, I've built up quite a nice little web of contacts, and maybe I can find somebody in your area for you. But you know, make them show you what they've done. And you're looking for pictures of things like stepless entry, stepless to the home, that is, stepless shower entry. Um, I'll tell you a story. I've told it before on this show, but I have a friend whose parents live at some geographic distance in another province. And the mother is it uses a walker and will shortly be using a wheelchair. So they wanted to make the bathroom fully accessible for her on the main floor. They took a piece from another room, they hired a contractor, talked with him about accessibility. So he made the room bigger, he did the whole thing. They spent $10,000 on this project. When my friend was talking to me about it, she said, "Oh yes, we've just done this, and it's accessible, but mom still has to have someone come in and help her with a shower." And I said, "Why does she need someone help her have a shower? If she can live independently in her home, why does she need someone to come and help her have a shower?" Because they needed to have somebody lift her walker over the lip of the shower to get her actually in the shower. I said, "You don't have an accessible shower. If you don't have that stepless entry to the shower that she can manage on her own, you don't have an accessible shower." And she showed me pictures of this bathroom. It's not accessible. So, you know, I'm not lambasting the contractor. He did what he thought was best. It just wasn't what the client actually needed. So you need to be very careful about that everybody's speaking the same language and that everybody's on the same page about what the end goal is and how you need to live your life in that home. So that's really important. You can look for things like plugs that are raised, switches that are lower, so you don't have to bend over. A plug doesn't have to be where it is because of some code. You can put a plug anywhere. And in an accessible home, the plugs are higher so that they can be accessed without having to bend down so low. And switches can be lowered so that they can be reached by somebody in a wheelchair. You didn't know that, did you? I'll bet you didn't know that. If you have stairs, there need to be railings on both sides of the staircase because you don't know what you're going to need to grab. And so that is outside stairs into the home, as well as stairs going up to a second level or down to a basement. Many people have washers and dryers in the basement level. And, ideally you'd move those up to the main floor, but you need to have handrails on both sides of those stairs. Not all modifications actually require renovations. When we talk about home modifications, a lot of this stuff you can do yourself. You really can, and they're cheap and cheerful, or they're no cost. You have to look at your home and how you're using it and how your home can work with you instead of against you. So, pick up the throw rugs. If you've got some kind of a throw rug that is something that your grandmother or great grandmother made, consider using it as a piece of art and putting it on a wall. If it's just something cheap that you picked up at Costco because you wanted some warmth under your feet, pick it up. It doesn't need to be there. But at the very least, if you must have it there, get double-sided tape and tape it down so it doesn't move. Throw rugs are the cause of a lot of trips and falls. Check out your drawer pulls. You can change those. If they're round knobs, you might have arthritic hands and you might benefit from having those drawer pulls changed to a cup style or a D ring, a D style. So go into your local hardware store and look at the kinds of drawer pulls that you could get that you could more easily use your hands with. Tuck all the cords away. Cords are trip hazards. Tuck them all away. Make plans for icy steps in the wintertime. Make plans for accessing the stairs to change the furnace filters. Tidy up clutter. You need to really tidy up clutter. So think of going full on Marie Kondo. You ever seen that show? Or the newest one on Netflix is The Home Edit. There's only one season, so there are, what, 6 or 7 shows. You can blow through those in an afternoon. It will make you crazy for the kinds of organization that you can do. But the objective here is to tidy up clutter so that everything has a place and everything is in that place and you're not tripping over it. You're not searching for things and, rifling through a bunch of stuff to get to the piece that you need. Take a look at your kitchen and try to organize everything so that the things that you use the most are between your nose and your knees. Nose to knees. Think of that. What you're trying to do is avoid having to reach too high or, God forbid, climb on something to reach that piece of china or that serving bowl or those glasses that you might use a lot, but put them where you can actually reach them. And don't worry too much about having the cupboards so perfectly organized. I mean, I've got my cupboards like that. I've got all the dinner plates together, all the bowls together. If what I need access to are a couple of dinner plates and a couple of bowls and a couple of glasses, I need to make sure that they are on the lower level of my upper cabinet so that I can reach them easily every single time. So that's what you need to look for. Simple cooking and baking processes that you may need to just readjust your thinking around. As you're beginning to prepare a meal, read through the recipe. Make sure that all of the ingredients and all of the utensils and all of the bowls and pots and whatnot are within easy reach in the workspace where you're going to be working today. What you want to avoid is having to go and all of a sudden dash for something while the pot's boiling over or while the mixer is going. And, you just don't want to have to do that stuff. So organize, and that will prevent a lot of falls. And those are modifications. We don't tend to think about them as modifications. Another piece of information that I got from the Leonard Davis School of Gerontology webinar the other day was a list of the most frequent modifications. So grab bars, a very frequent modification. You can have a contractor install those. You need to have some idea of where that grab bar is installed so that it best suits you. Again, this is not a one size fits all kind of thing, but you might need a grab bar by the toilet, and it might be a straight grab bar. It might be an L-shaped grab bar. It might be something that's on the ground that folds out. There are lots of different types of grab bars, so make sure that it's something that suits you. And by the way, I know a lot of you are thinking of grab bars and that it's going to make your bathroom look institutional. You would be amazed if you start looking around at the kind of very cool grab bars that are out there. A lot of them don't even look like grab bars, but they've got them now in all kinds of colors and finishes. So if your bathroom is full of chrome or bronze or oiled bronze or black, you can get grab bars that match that. So they're going to be just part of the furniture. They're not going to stick out and make your bathroom look institutional. So don't let that stop you. Investigate and see what's out there. The internet is a wonderful place. Make use of it. And if you need me to point you to some that look wonderful, DM me. I can do that for you. That's fine. Lots of companies out there are catching on to the fact that with this aging demographic, we don't want to look like we live in an institution. Okay? So, grab bars. Secure the rugs. Well, we already talked about that. Two-sided tape, if you must leave them. Two-sided tape. Bath seating. So, if you need to sit down in the bathtub, you may need a seat. If what you have is a bathtub shower combo, there are all kinds of seats. You don't necessarily have to step over the wall of the tub to get in. You can sit on a seat that is on one side of the bathtub, and you can scoot your butt over, and if you can lift your legs, you can get over to the other side and find yourself within the bathtub with that one seat. And you do the same thing getting out. You're in the tub and you just scoot your butt over, move your legs over, and now you are outside of the tub, all while you are sitting down. This stuff exists. You just have to find it. Raised toilet seat. Okay, so there are lots of options for this. You can replace your toilet. If you have a regular height toilet seat, you can replace it with a comfort or right height toilet seat. You can also purchase a raised toilet seat. So that is something that, it's about that tall and it takes the place of your toilet seat. But again, not one size does not fit all. For some people, the regular height toilet seat is fine. If you have to do a transfer from a wheelchair, the comfort height toilet seat might be too big for you. It's just an inch and a half taller, but it might be too tall. So you need to figure out what works for you. There are also, of course, bidet toilet seats. You can buy the whole fancy $5,000 American Standard bidet seat that will do everything but give birth to your children for you, or you can buy something that retrofits the toilet seat you've got. And if you've got range of motion issues, a lot of people have the toilet tissue on the wall behind them, and so there has to be a turn to reach it. Um, and some people have difficulty cleaning themselves after they've urinated or had a bowel movement. A bidet toilet um, retrofit may be just the ticket for you. And you can get them in the States, they're as low as about $79. I've seen them in Canada for, a bit more, $100-ish. And you can have that problem solved. If you have a plug behind your toilet, if you're renovating your home, have your contractor put a plug behind your toilet, because then if you get a bidet toilet seat, you can plug it in and have warm water. Be nice, huh? Otherwise, it's cold water, but it's still better than nothing. So look at those kinds of things. Seating in the kitchen is also a very popular home modification. Yeah, that's a modification. You bring a chair in so that you can sit down while you're cutting things up at the counter. Pretty simple, huh? Using reachers. Have you ever done that? It's a modification. You didn't think these were modifications, did you? But they are, and they're things that are cheap and cheerful and you can do yourself. That will help you to reach things that are up tall or things that have fallen on the floor. You can use the reacher to pick it up instead of having to bend down and risk the blood rushing to your head so that you stand up and get dizzy. Non-skid treads. You can put these on stairs, exterior stairs and interior stairs. A bed rail to help you get up out of bed in the morning or in the middle of the night. Night lights. That's another really important thing. You can get motion lights so that as soon as you start to move, they turn on. Very important. Toilet safety rail. Well, that's kind of like the grab bars that we were talking about. Railings. Yes, railings. We already kind of talked about having two railings on stairs, one on either side. Don't just suffice your home with one railing on one side. You need them on both sides. So have one put in and make sure that it can withstand the weight. So that's another good thing you can do as you're moving inside for the winter. Test those railings and make sure that they're not unstable or shaky. If they are, they might need to be fastened down a little more to protect you. Step stools, contrasting tape, cushions, these are all things that are home modifications. Hip protectors are home modifications. Yes, they are. They are a modification. Now, disclaimer here, I have a product-based company. It's called Brown Healthcare. We are a dealer for the #1 brand of hip protector in the world. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of it. We sell a lot of them. Protecting yourself from the injury that may be sustained from the fall is important. So don't wait for something to happen, for that first fall, to have your doctor or your OT tell you that you need to start wearing hip protectors. Really, really, really hard sell in community dwellers because they don't want to look different from everybody else. And they're afraid that hip protectors will make them look different from everybody else. Well, guess what? So will a walker. Guess what? So will having to move into a long-term care facility. Get with the program. Advocate for yourself and don't work against your own best interest. If you are somebody who has fallen or is likely to fall, protect yourself. The hip protectors that my product-based company, Brown Healthcare, sells are 1/2 inch thick. I have had them on people at seminars that I have given, and when I tell the folks in the room to guess who's wearing the hip protector, they can't tell. They cannot tell the difference. So you may feel different, but you don't look any different. Trust me, you don't look any different, but you have that confidence. People who are afraid to go outside and walk because they've already fallen once will gain confidence back by knowing that they've taken steps to protect themselves. Okay, the condition of your health is also something that you need to look at because that is um, something that will determine your ability to fall or protect yourself from a fall. A medication checklist. You need to get one of those and write down everything you're taking, the prescriptions you get from your doctor, the things that you buy over the counter, like the antacids, like the headache remedies, like those special teas, like CBD, anything that you're taking. You need to write it down, and you need to make sure that your doctor and your pharmacist are aware of that. If you don't know where to start with a medication checklist, go to theoldish.com, create an account. Doesn't cost you anything. It's just that when you're doing things like creating a medication checklist, you're writing down information that is personal and private. None of my business, it's none of anybody else's business. Yes, you can print the medication checklist out, but you should also save it because as things change, you don't want to start from scratch all over again. Get yourself a membership there. Go to the toolkit, which is on the upper menu, and go to medication checklist, and you can get yourself one right there. Make sure that you're doing exercise that includes balance exercises like Tai Chi or yoga. Again, in the toolkit on the Oldish are exercises that were developed by specialists, not by me, not by me at all. But the developers have been kind enough to let me put it on theoldish.com so that you can access them. There are also Tai Chi and yoga videos for older adults on YouTube. Find something that works for you that you're going to stick to and do that. Eat a healthy diet. The Mediterranean diet is the #1 diet in the world year over year over year for a balanced, healthy diet. Make sure that you are socializing. That goes directly to your health. People who don't socialize adequately, and I know it's really tough in this pandemic time, but you need to make sure that you are socializing. If you do those 4 things, you exercise regularly, you eat a proper diet, you socialize, and you check your medications, those go a long way toward keeping you healthy and proactively making sure that you're not a victim of a fall. Check the condition of your footwear and also the length of the pants and skirts that you wear. Now, pants and skirts, is that weird? Some people wear them too long. You know, you get pants hemmed to go with those heels or those boots, but when you're wearing them around the house, they're a little long and they're dragging on the floor. They can be a trip hazard. Check the condition of your footwear. If they're bald, honey, you need to go get some footwear with some tread on it because bald slippers, bald shoes, and bald boots will have you flat on your butt. If you hit some ice or if you hit a throw rug that isn't tied down or a slippery surface or if something spills on the floor and you fall. I know you love those slippers. I know it. I've got slippers I love too, but make sure they've got adequate tread on them so that you are safe and protected. Check the condition of your walking aids if you use them. Do you have a pick for your cane? Is your walker equipped to work in the snow? Is it something that has been sized correctly, or did you just go out and buy one? Walkers have to be sized so that you're not walking all hunched and stooped over, so that you are walking upright and so that your hips are under you and you are walking safely and securely. Check the same conditioning for your wheelchair if you're a wheelchair user. Okay, you need to make sure that it is conditioned. It's like a car, it needs a tune-up every now and then. If you use spikes on your boots, like Yak Trax, and by the way, I no longer recommend Yak Trax. I used to, I don't anymore. But make sure that anything you put on your boots to help you grip in the ice and the snow is clean and free of debris, and that you can put them on and off yourself. Your flexibility may have changed since this time last year. Nothing to be ashamed of, but just make sure that you can reach down and put them on safely. One really good reason why is because if you put those on your boots and you walk into a store that has a tile floor, all of a sudden those spikes that protected you in the snow are very dangerous to you on a tile floor. So you need to be able to don them and doff them properly. Okay, pets. This is the last thing on our list. Pets. We all love our dogs and cats and whatever other pets we have. I have a daughter who has a chinchilla, loves her to bits. We all love her chinchilla. But dogs and cats can easily get underfoot and be a trip hazard. You didn't think of them that way, did you? You're used to avoiding them. Start training them now to avoid you. They need to watch out for you. They need to be able to move as we're walking through the house. They need to be able to move if we get up in the middle of the night and they're sleeping beside our bed because they're a trip hazard. So train your baby to watch out for you. Start working on that. Regular viewers, you know that I'm big on advocating for ourselves. You absolutely know that. And as I said at the top of the show, if you don't start making these decisions for yourself, other people will start making them for you. Let me show you where to find that medication checklist and those exercises. You can go to that website and you can find them. The goal is for you to stay in your home as long as it is safe for you. Once your home stops being safe for you, it is no longer a safe place for you to remain. And I know that's really hard for people. Don't work against your own best interest. Don't wait until something happens and somebody else is making the decisions for you. Okay? That's what today's show is all about. Advocate for yourself, be kind to yourself, and give yourself that grace. Look around and be honest with yourself. You can do it all by yourself. You don't necessarily need to involve your adult children who will say, well, mom, if you're looking at this stuff, then, time to move along. You can do it yourself. Do it before it needs to be done. That's how you ensure a safe environment. Okay, everybody, that is today's show. I will see you next Wednesday at 12 noon. Until then, be kind to one another, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember that it does indeed take a village to age a senior. Bye.